Okay, today we're going to talk about Mendelian genetics. Okay, so our objectives with this lesson are to define Mendelian genetics terms, create Punnett squares, analyze Punnett squares, and determine a genotype and phenotype. But first we're going to start with a pre-assessment activity. Please circle all that apply. Number 1. A recessive trait is only expressed when a genotype is A, big B, big B, B, big B, little b, C, little b, big B, or D, little b, little b. 2. A dominant trait is expressed when a genotype is A, big B, big B, B, big B, little b, C, little b, big B, or D, little b, little b. Now I have this maybe 5-minute video for you to watch, and this tells all about Gregor Mendel, who is the creator of Mendelian genetics, and his pea plants and some basic terms that you should know for this lesson.
The future waits for no one, so we refuse to wait for it. Today, battles are waged in nanoseconds, and planes are piloted from the other side of the world. The future's not coming, it's already here. Join us and be the future.
These days, scientists know how you inherit characteristics from your parents. They're able to calculate probabilities of having a specific trait or getting a genetic disease according to the information they have from the parents and the family history. But how is this possible? To understand how traits pass from one living being to its descendants, we need to go back in time to the 19th century and a man named Gregor Mendel. Mendel was an Austrian monk and biologist who loved to work with plants. By breeding the pea plants he was growing in the monastery's garden, he discovered the principles that rule heredity. In one of the most classic examples, Mendel combined a purebred yellow-seeded plant with a purebred green-seeded plant, and he got only yellow seeds. He called the yellow color trait the dominant one, because it was expressed in all the new seeds. Then he let the new yellow-seeded hybrid plants self-fertilize, and in this second generation he got both yellow and green seeds, which meant that the green trait had been hidden by the dominant yellow. He called this hidden trait the recessive trait. From those results, Mendel inferred that each trait depends on a pair of factors, one of them coming from the mother and the other from the father. Now we know that these factors are called alleles and represent the different variations of a gene. Depending on which type of allele Mendel found in each seed, we can have what we call a homozygous pea, where both alleles are identical, and what we call a heterozygous pea, when the two alleles are different. This combination of alleles is known as genotype, and its result, being yellow or green, is called phenotype. To clearly visualize how alleles are distributed amongst descendants, we can use a diagram called the Punnett square. You just place the different alleles on both axes, and then you figure out the possible combinations. Let's look at Mendel's peas, for example. Let's write the dominant yellow allele as an uppercase y, and the recessive green allele as a lowercase y. The uppercase y always overpowers its lowercase friend, so the only time you get green babies is if you have two lowercase y's. In Mendel's first generation, the yellow homozygous pea mom will give each pea kid a yellow dominant allele, and the green homozygous pea dad will give a green recessive allele, so all the pea kids will be yellow heterozygous. Then, in the second generation, where the two heterozygous kids marry, their babies could have any of the three possible genotypes, showing the two possible phenotypes in a 3-to-1 proportion. But even peas have a lot of characteristics. For example, besides being yellow or green, peas may be round or wrinkled. So we could have all these possible combinations: round yellow peas, round green peas, wrinkled yellow peas, and wrinkled green peas. To calculate the proportions for each genotype and phenotype, we can use a Punnett square too. Of course, this will make it a little more complex. And lots of things are more complicated than peas, like, say, people. These days, scientists know a lot more about genetics and heredity, and there are many other ways in which some characteristics are inherited, but it all started with Mendel and his peas.
Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to practice. So I have a practice problem up here for you and an example of what a Punnett square looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and read to you the practice problem and we will work through it together. So the Johnsons have just found out that they are having a baby of their own. They are both wondering whose eyes the baby will have. Mrs. Johnson has homozygous brown eyes, and Mr. Johnson has homozygous blue eyes. If brown is a dominant eye color, what are the possible genotypes and phenotypes of the newest Johnson? Okay, so we are going to work through this problem together. Let's first notice that Mrs. Johnson has homozygous brown eyes. Homozygous means that both alleles are the same. So that means that if she has brown eyes and brown is dominant, that over here by mother's genes, we would write big B for brown eyes. Next, we will look at Mr. Johnson, who has homozygous blue eyes. And if brown eyes is the dominant eye color, that means that blue eyes is the recessive eye color. And if it's a recessive homozygous, that means that the father has little b as his genotype. So now you work the Punnett square by moving Mrs. Johnson's alleles all the way across in all 4 boxes. And then we will use Mr. Johnson's alleles all the way down in all 4 boxes. As they discussed in the video, your genotype, which we will call G, is your alleles. So that means that for this problem, that 100% of the time, the newest Johnson will have big B, little b as its genotype because all 4 boxes have big B, little b. Now, for the phenotype, which we will call P, it will have 100% brown eyes. And this is due to the fact that all 4 boxes are big B, little b, in which the big B is dominant and hides the little b trait, meaning that all 4 boxes show that any child that these 2 individuals have together will have brown eyes. Now, what I'm going to have you do is use the information that you have just learned to create a genetics problem for your group. Put the answer on the back. You will then pass around your problem to each member of your group, the tables that you're sitting at, and each group member will create and analyze a Punnett square to determine the genotype and the phenotype required by your question. Please be creative, but be nice to your classmates. Once this is over, you will be done for the day, but you have to successfully complete all 4 Punnett squares, and they all must be checked by me before you are done.